Go. Conrad, I'm sure you guys can see Conrad's question. So with Conrad here asking this question about contacts being imported and being skipped. So you guys know when importing contacts, and the example, let's just jump into the example I gave Conrad. So there's a group A, right? You have a group A in your account. You have 1,000 contacts in there already. You receive another list. You have 1,000 contacts on that list as well, but you want to import them into group B. The contacts on that list that you intend on importing into Group B has 700 contacts in it that already exist in the system, and they actually exist in Group A already, right? You're coming into import, you guys know that there's always that green notification bar that come across, and it tells you so many out of so many leads were imported, and so many leads have been skipped because they're duplicates. So I know you guys are pretty familiar with that, especially if you import contacts. Now, I know that that verbiage that's being used may be confusing to some, but ultimately, what's happening when you import contacts that happen to be in your account already, it's copying those contacts, not necessarily importing them as a second record. Obviously, the system does not import duplicate contacts, right? In this case, what it does is copies them into a new group if they already exist in your account. And if they don't exist in your account already, then obviously that import will be successful and those contacts will be imported into Group B as intended. So that's kind of what it is with when it comes to groups and importing. You know, a lot of people think that they're not importing, that they're being skipped, not everyone's going in. Fact of the matter is it is. However, you know, it's being copied in a different fashion. We always suggest our users, as I mentioned, to just make sure you clean up and do your due diligence when it comes to your files and your spreadsheets prior to importing, because that, you know, can create a big difference in the type of data that you put into your system and how you mark it out. I'm sure that makes sense, right? So as I mentioned earlier, you know, we went over the contacts tab, we went over the inbounds, the outbounds. Melissa does fulfillment, and she's went over the broadcast or the campaigns in general with voicemail, SMS, and email. What I would like to do today is just open up the questions and maybe answer some of the questions that you guys may have, share some ideas that I have in regards to some of the trends when creating campaigns, SMS specifically. So feel free at any point. I do have the box open here so I can see if you guys are writing in or not. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is the voicemail, broadcast, and follow-up and the inbound campaign. So this is one of the common ones that a lot of people utilize, and in case no one is aware yet of the 3 different types that we offer. So broadcast, right? Broadcast, everyone should know it's a one-time broadcast out to a group of people. Now you can do this type of campaign inside of the SMS and email as well. With broadcast, you have to make sure that you have the groups created already with the contacts in it prior to doing this broadcast campaign. Now with the broadcast and follow-up, it's similar to a broadcast voicemail. However, when the broadcast and follow-up is being created, you're going to set it up first as a broadcast, and then you're able to add follow-up voicemail campaigns after to follow up with that lead. Now, again, that's also in SMS and email as well. Now, the difference between the broadcast voicemail and the broadcast follow-up is the fact that with broadcast and follow-up, once a lead responds to a campaign, or a follow-up inside of a broadcast and follow-up, they get removed from that campaign and they no longer receive any follow-ups thereafter. So in order to get those results, it's really important to make sure that you utilize the same from number as an inbound campaign. In other words, you want to link the two. That's one of the common mistakes that people make when creating these type of campaigns. And the reason why it's important to do it is because if you don't, you're not going to get the best benefit of utilizing a broadcast and follow-up. So when you go in to create this type of campaign, it's going to ask you an inbound campaign and a caller ID. So of course, you're going to want to make sure that these 2 numbers match. Right? So of course, when you broadcast out to a group, they're going to get this number in their caller ID or in their voicemail log. They're going to call it back. When they call it back, it's going to trigger the inbound campaign. And of course, that call is going to be directed, but on the back end, when we take a look at the lead note and the call log and things like that, we can see that this particular lead, whoever decides to call back, did respond to this inbound campaign, and they will no longer receive the follow-ups, right? So that's kind of how that works. Same thing with SMS as well. You want to use a inbound campaign from number with a broadcast and follow-up campaign. All right, so that's one of the big things that I wanted to discuss with the broadcast and follow-up. Now, with the autoresponder, it's kind of similar, but it's just more black and white. When you go in to create an autoresponder, it's going to ask you straight up, do you want the follow-up to be received or not? Meaning, do you want the lead to receive the follow-up message even after they've responded to your campaign? So you have the option yes or no. Again, that's with SMS and email autoresponder as well. You'll want to utilize the caller ID from the inbound campaign if, of course, well, not necessarily that, I should say, whenever you are doing a voicemail campaign or an SMS campaign, I would highly suggest having an inbound campaign. A lot of people fail to do that. I don't know why, but you know, you think about sending out all these campaigns, you want to make sure that people can reach you, right? As I've mentioned previously, it's not ideal to set up a voicemail drop campaign using a mobile number as the caller ID, especially if you have a high volume of contacts that you're reaching out to. Inbound campaigns are the best way to manage those calls. Does anyone have any questions so far? Thank you for everyone showing up today. I appreciate you guys. Now would be the time to ask all the questions in the world. All right, so SMS standard and conversational campaign. I know Melissa had went over this. I think it was last week in her video, her webinar that she did. This is huge for lead generation. It's pretty quick and easy to complete and create. This would be ideal if you have a client who has signage, you know, in their office or advertisement somewhere that's telling someone, or they want someone to text them. Text me, please text this number, text car wash to this number. And once they text the number, it automatically puts them into either a standard or a conversational campaign. I'm not sure if any one of you guys are familiar who are in right now, but the conversational campaign is pretty huge, and I really like this particular type of campaign. So as you can see, what happens here is they can either call in or subscribe by SMS. This is a double opt-in type of campaign, and it works in so many ways. You can actually connect a SMS conversational campaign with a autoresponder. And what I can do is, I guess, give you an idea of how this all works, right? So what happens here is you text into this number, and right away when you text into this number, you're going to want to text in the subscribe keyword, which is wine. So the moment that you text in wine to this number, it's going to immediately send you a text message asking for your name. The best part about this is the moment they text back with their name, it stores their name inside the system with their phone number. So that's the first step, right? We're getting their information. That's what a conversational campaign does for you. So it's going to automatically plug in the name that they sent back with the previous answer, right? And address them with their first name, and then ask them for the email. Now, of course, if this is information that you're needing, go for it, right? You're going to need their email, ask for it. You're going to get it. When they text it back, it's going to drop into their email field in their contact record. Then it's going to ask, what state do you live in? Right after they respond with question 2. Get the state information, and once they've texted in the last or answered the last question, they're going to get the confirm message. Now, once they receive this confirm message, they have to confirm or respond by saying yes, which is the confirm keyword. Once they text that in, they are officially double opt-in, meaning they showed their interest and they are completely involved and want to know what you have going on, right? And they officially will become subscribed as a contact once they confirm with their opt-in. Now, once they actually confirm, they turned into a subscribed contact inside of this group. So they can go through question 1 and 2 and not complete 3 and text back the keyword. If they don't complete this process, they're going to be left as an unsubscribed contact in your accounts. Now, as you know, when you're in an unsubscribed status, there's no way of them or you reaching that lead. At that point, it's kind of irrelevant to even have them in your account, right? So they have to confirm. Once they confirmed, it's going to switch their status to subscribed. Once they switch to subscribed, they're going to be considered a new lead in this group. Now, of course, as you guys know, with autoresponders, whether it's voicemail or email, and of course SMS, when a new contact is being added into a group that's associated with an SMS or any autoresponder in general, it's going to then trigger that autoresponder. So with that being said, once you gather their information in this conversational campaign, they become opted in, and you can then put them into another funnel, such as an email funnel or SMS, right? Depending on what you're trying to accomplish, what your goals are. So the conversation is, as you can see, allows you to get more information from a person, from a lead. The standard campaign is something that is pretty basic, straight to the point. Do you want, free offers? Do you want special discounts? Do you want special information? Things like that. Then a standard campaign will be straight to the point. Text in this, this keyword. You're in. You're good. It's done. Seen a lot of success rate when it comes to that. Another way of doing the SMS standard campaign as well is to actually, and this is obviously if you have a list of contacts already that you intend on broadcasting out to. Simple. Reach out to them and say, hey, text in this word, and then they'll be able to go through your conversational campaign. So it's really just a matter of if you need to gather additional information or not, right? Some of the cool things that we do have that are new, I'm not sure if anyone has went over them yet, but if you go into, let's go into the SMS template. Here in the template, we do have a MMS option. As you can see, we do have these offered formats. So JPEG, any GIFs, PNG, audio, which refers to WAV formats, and MP3. Video, so MP4. There's quite a long list. If you guys are interested in wanting to know what they are, let me know. CSV file and PDF file. So you can send over more than one image if necessary to a lead. You just want to add them into your template, and then of course apply that template into your SMS campaign. As you can see, there are emojis here as well. So feel free to use them at any time. They're super fun. And of course, those are the ways of texting now. So, spruce it up a little bit and add some emojis and maybe a Giphy in there, and you'll probably catch someone's attention. All right, do we have any questions? We good? You guys caught up on your coffee? I am. I'm definitely caught up on my coffee. All right. Let's see. I don't really know what else as far as campaigns go. I know that we do offer, I know Mark went over what Friday was it? A couple Fridays ago, he went over the event reminder campaign, I believe. This allows, for example, if there is an anniversary date, birth date, whatever kind of event, you can create a campaign specifically for that type of scenario. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it open for a couple minutes to see if anyone has any questions or need some advice or guidance on how to create any type of campaign. And I'll be happy. We have a question here. Can I capture birthdays with a conversational campaign? Yes, absolutely. So in the conversation, that's a great question, by the way. Thank you, sir. So in the conversational campaign, what you can do is you'll want to add a question or a conversation and say, right? Or birthday, whatever. And of course, you'll want to have a token set up specifically for this type of answer. So what you'll want to do in your contact tab, you'll want to go to your custom fields, and you'll want to add a custom field. Title this date of birth, and we're going to save this as a date. And then up top, go ahead and save it. And from that point, I'm just go ahead and refresh this page here. Birth date, what's your birthday? Right, and boom, we'll take that. And when they respond, that answer is going to go into the date of birth field, right? That's saved in everyone's record. And then, of course, from that point, once that information gets dropped in, when going in to create a event campaign, click on Add New Campaign. Right here, what you'll want to do is event field, you'll want to choose date of birth. And, depending on how you're intending on running your campaign, so let's say that you're a restaurant, or you're marketing, or one of your clients is a restaurant, and they want to send out something 2 weeks prior to their birth date. That is something that can definitely happen, whether you send a text message, email, or voicemail reminder. All right. Oh, you know what? One question that keeps coming up that I would like to address, especially for managers who happen to have team members under their manager account. As you guys know, under the team tab, there is an opportunity to assign specific page or phone permissions to your members that you have under you, right? So if you want to restrict them from seeing certain things, you can. So going into the page permissions, clicking on that blue little button there, it's going to open up this page for you. When you select a main tab, so the voice is going to refer to the voice drop tab, right? The SMS is going to refer to the SMS tab. When you completely deselect the main tab, you're removing all opportunities to access any of this. Clicking on it is going to give them permission to access everything. Of course, you're going to have to deselect to show, based on whether you want them to see certain subtabs or not. Now, one thing that is very, it's very common that I've been finding this issue here in support is where what's happening is people are, assigning the tab voice in a member's account, but they're not going into the actual campaign and assigning the campaign to that person. So in this case, right now what you're doing is allowing them the access to see the tab, but if you don't assign them the permissions to actually see the campaign, they can't see it, right? So anytime that you go in, or anytime or anywhere you see a field where you can add or assign a member, just know that you're able to actually specifically assign them what you're doing. Not necessarily giving them a task, but allowing them permissions to see that campaign. Yep. Yeah, Conrad, getting really into the system. So yeah, it's the only way that you'll actually allow them to say, oh, there's a voicemail campaign here. Let me take a look at the batch. Let me take a look if it processed. What group did this go out to? That's the type of things that your team member would want to look at, or that you would consider them, looking at if you gave them permissions. Now, another thing that's a huge deal as well is groups or contacts. A lot of the times people, our users are like, hey, you know what? I only want them to see this particular group and this particular campaign. Okay, cool. So in this case, going into the permissions, we're going to select the contact tab because the groups tab falls under that, right? So we're going to leave the contacts. I want them to see the contacts. I don't want them to export anything, restore anything. I don't need any of that stuff going on, right? And then from that point, I only want them to add a contact, see the contacts in the group, and the contacts in the contact manager. That's what these three things are. And then, of course, have the ability to tag people if necessary. So going in and submitting this information, now they're able to see only those 3 particular subtabs. Now, anytime you make changes inside of the page permissions, you're going to want to log out of the team member account and then log back in order for those changes to take place. Now, after you assign the ability for them to see the group, just like the campaigns, you're going to have to give them permissions to see the group as well. That's the only way that they'll be able to see that particular contact or those contacts in that group. So if you already have a group created, under the Action tab, you'll click on Edit. And then, as you can see here, assign permissions. You can assign whomever people, how many, to get access to see those contacts. All right, we have a question. If there is a new lead, but my event campaign starts in less than 24 hours, a new lead will not receive the SMS, right? That is correct. So you definitely want to make sure that you know, that the birthday is added in the fields well before 24 hours in order for that to actually, the system to comprehend, hey, 24 hours or within, you know, an hour, this needs to go out. So yeah, that's permissions. With phone permissions, same thing as well. Under the team tab, of course, team member list. Phone permissions, clicking on that button. If there's a specific number that you only want that team member to have access to, then here's where you'll want to assign those permissions. Now, I did have a request yesterday from a user that I don't mind sharing with you guys, and I think it's a great idea. We had this request a couple times, and I'm going to go ahead and submit it. We do have a lot of users that have a large amount of team members and a very large amount of phone numbers that they've purchased, right? So what they've asked for is the ability to have maybe a drop down here that can identify, okay, James has this number, Patty has this number, so on and so forth. So if that is running through your minds, just know that we've got the notice and we are going to be working on getting that taken care of, so to make things easier for all of our users. All right. This is pretty neat. This is new. You know what? There's one thing I do want to go over is, look, I have so many things I want to go over. I might just have to do this on a regular basis. What do you guys think? Maybe like once a week, once a month, something like that? Yeah, let's see what we can do. Only if you guys want it, though. I'm not going to do this if you guys don't want me to be here. One thing that I want to go over with you guys is for our white label users, our resellers. A lot of the times you guys mention not being able to add team members or managers to your manager account. Okay, first things first, you want to go over to your admin, okay? In your admin, you have the ability to add as many people as you want. So for example, this manager here, clicking under the action, click on View Team, click on Add Member. Right now we have a total members available as 2, and there's none active. But at any time that you wanted to add more members to your account for free, hint, hint, free, you would want to click on Add More Members and enter in the value. Okay, so then once you've entered in that information, go ahead and log into that manager account from your admin. And what you'll find here under the Team tab is when you go in to add a new member, as you can see, it's going to tell you that you have some remaining people, and it won't ask you for a credit card. Okay, so if at any point that you see a credit card and you're like, hey, it's not asking, you know, it's asking me to pay for this, you don't have to, especially if you're a reseller. One of the perks of being a white label reseller. All right, so just wanted to point that out and answer that question. I'm going to leave this open for like about 5 minutes. If you guys have any questions, please ask them now. And then I will be heading out to start my day. As mentioned at the beginning of this webinar as well. If you guys missed any of the previous webinars, they have been recorded. You can go over to youtube.com/Hot Prospector, and you will find some of the previous videos there. And of course, I'm not sure if we're going to be back next week or not. I don't think we are. I'm not sure. What was that, Jasmine? First of the year, we'll probably be back. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of new features rolling out 2019, so more than likely we'll definitely be back the beginning of next year to roll those out and go over those with you guys as well. All right, well, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and wrap this up. As I mentioned, head over to youtube.com/Hot Prospector. If you're looking for any previous videos, this one that is being done today should be there within the next 24 hours, I would think. If you guys have any questions, as I've always mentioned before, feel free to reach out to us at support@help@yourcrmsupport.com. And we'll be happy to assist you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys learned something new today, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.